One. So, woo, yes, it is Monday, 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 Monday. So I'm super excited. We are kicking off this week with our first Small Business Solutions Monday. And we have our first guest here from Australia. Kim, all the way from Australia. It is 9 o'clock in the morning, her time. So we're just going to take a second. If you would like to share this with your audience, you can do that. I'll do an introduction and
Yeah,
we
sure.
will get right into it. So,
Amazing.
Kim, we actually did our interview back in July, and I was super excited to have her. She was just so full of energy and so positive and motivating. When it came to business, I loved her energy, and I was like, "What in the heck, like, keeps you going with business?" And then she told me her thoughts on business and how she thinks being successful in business operates, and I was like, "You have to be on the show because your mindset and your thoughts on business is so different from anyone else I've interviewed." So. Without further ado, can you please introduce yourself from Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kim, and I help female entrepreneurs to unblock what's holding them back from their success using their subconscious mind.
Yeah,
So I'm an RTT practitioner and a mindset coach.
that is awesome. So, can you explain a little bit more about a being a mindset coach? What is that? How is that beneficial to business owners?
Totally. I think my story is so similar to so many other entrepreneurs. I started my first business when I was like 19. I was a photographer, and I really had this idea that like if I just hustled really hard, I would have to make it. And so I did that. I worked really hard. And then a couple years in, I just got so burnt out. And I remember just like lying on my bedroom floor being like, if this is what it takes to be successful, like, I don't want it. Like, I'm
I
going to
don't
have
want
to find
it.
some. Yeah, I was like so exhausted. And then I really started to like dive into like the law of attraction kind of stuff and started learning about your subconscious mind. And then I really started to learn that it was like, if you don't have the belief to back up your actions, you're just going to be like spinning your wheels in the mud. Like you can be taking
Yes,
so much action, but if the belief isn't there, it does not matter. And also
absolutely.
that kind of plays into that is like your self-worth, how worthy and deserving you feel of having like your goals. And so I think I sort of realized along the way, I was like, you don't need another strategy. You need to get your mindset right. And when you get your mindset right, you will naturally take the action you need to do to get to where you want to go. So long story short, that's how I became a mindset coach, because I realized like other people need to know this too. And hopefully it doesn't take them as long as it took me.
No, I think that's great because, business owners, I've been doing basically like a study with all these different interviews, right? And what I've noticed is that not every business owner went to school for business. And I harp on that because there are some people who are at home right now with great visions, great ideas, and I'm talking phenomenal, but they think like, I can't be a business owner because I just do X, Y, and Z. And I love your thought process on that, changing your mindset and saying like, hey, actually, I can be a business owner. And you said spinning the wheels. I think that is so critical to teach and to coach people on because you can put in effort into your business, but you do not want to feel like you're running, like you're pressing on the gas and your car is going nowhere. So
Yeah.
I love that. So how do you actually get people to transition from, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur to seeing some fruits of their labor?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I work with my clients, first we figure out like, where do you want to go? Because this is the thing where it's so important to set a proper vision for yourself, because people are like, oh, I want to make a lot of money. And I'm like, well, what's a lot? Like, is it
What is
10,000? Is it 20,000? Is it
right?
50,000? Like getting really clear on like, where do you want to go? And then figuring out like, okay, like who's the version of yourself that has that thing? And how can we get you to be that version of yourself now? Like what's blocking you from getting to that point? Like what beliefs do you have that aren't supporting you? And so I always take my clients through like, we can get into more like what RTT is later, but I'll always take them through like a session around like their self-worth, because all of us go through life on some level not believing we're like enough to like have the things we want. We think we're not good enough. We think we're not smart enough. We're not qualified
Oh,
enough. Like
yes.
it's all about not being enough. So that's the first thing we always address. And then
Awesome.
we address like their confidence and their belief in themselves. Because when you instill that attitude of being like, I'm a winner and I win no matter what, then you'll be able to do anything. Like it will totally like set you free. And
Yes.
then we work on people's money mindset, because as a business owner, like you hold the entire capacity for making money in your business. We're so
Absolutely.
conditioned in society to be like, oh, I go to a job, I get a paycheck. So when you start running your business, like you need to clear up your money beliefs, because if you don't have that clear, like money's not going to flow into your business. And if you don't have money in your business, well, you don't have a business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you have to have a place to put your money, right? You're making money, and you have to have your goals in place, right? So you said be clear about your goals in business. I love that because
Yeah,
I think business owners, again, they're kind of like gerbils sometimes. We just run on wheels with all these great ideas, but being clear is getting you off that wheel and actually like turning into a product or a service defined.
yeah,
So okay, so you said number one, you have to have the right mindset. Okay, what's your
totally.
number two?
Number two is like figuring out, okay, what's stopping me from getting to that version of myself? Because like to get a different version of your goals, you're going to have to become a different person essentially. And I
Yeah.
don't mean that you have to like fake it till you make it, because I don't really believe in that concept. I think you have everything you need within you already, but it's like removing the conditioning around that, which has been built up over a lifetime, that's telling you that you can't have that thing. So really figuring out like, who's the version of me that has that thing, and how can I start embodying that person now? Like, what does she think when she gets up? Like, what habits does she have? What is she doing every day? And really start doing those things now, because that's what's going to bring it into your present moment. So getting really clear on like, who's that version of me? How can I embody her now? How can I start feeling like her, showing up like her?
Yes.
Um, the feeling part is really important, because if you don't feel like something is possible for you, you won't action on it. So it's
Absolutely.
really crucial to like tap into like, okay, how does she feel about the things that I need to do to like move my business forward?
Absolutely. And you mentioned like you have to actually embody this lifestyle. Business is a
Yeah.
lifestyle, right? So before we hopped online, we were talking about like if we're morning people or if we're night people, right? We all know that the world operates on that 9 to 5, right? Um,
Totally.
and I am not a morning person, but I will get up and do what I need to do because it's a lifestyle. Just because I don't like to wake up early and I like to stay up to 2 or 3 a.m. doesn't mean that the rest of the world operates at that time. So business is a lifestyle. We have to embody and show up every day. Okay, cool. So once we're showing up with our business, what's next?
I really think self-awareness is really key. Like
Love
figuring
it.
out like what is your best way of working. Like the deeper you know yourself, the more effective you can be. Because a lot of the time when people start businesses, they're like, I need to do everything myself. And that is not gonna, you're gonna max out at a certain point of doing that. You can't do everything. So becoming really aware of like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I actually like doing? Like, what is my zone of genius? And then like, I know people have a lot of resistance to this when they first start, but like hiring a VA, hiring someone to just take those jobs off the table so that you're not
Yes,
trying to do everything, so you can be your most effective. Like when you realize you need to hire someone, it's too late. Like, so
absolutely.
becoming really clear on like, okay, what are the things I do in my business that make the business like the most money? And then everything else, like, how can I get someone else to do that? And this brings up a lot of stuff, because hiring for people, they're like, oh my God, so now I have to be a boss. Now I have to manage people. Like it comes with like a whole new set of like personality traits that you have to
Oh,
embody,
yeah.
and like
And skills.
and skills. It's like a whole new level. But when you outsource the things that aren't your zone of genius, you give yourself so much more capacity to be creative. And like business owners are creative, even if they're not in like a creative industry, because you're literally creating something out of nothing.
Yes.
So it's like when you are well rested, when you're not like in the weeds trying to figure out like the logistics of your business, you have that space for that bigger vision to come through. So I think it's so important just taking stock of like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Like, how am I most effective? How do I like to work? And then getting people to help support you, because like, you can't do it by yourself. It takes a village.
Yeah. So can you like tell us, are you a person that's more of an individual? Like before going into business, were you someone that's like, hey, I like to lead the pack. I like to do things on my own. And was it a challenge for you to bring on people to your team? Or were you already like a team player and it was an easy transition for you?
Yeah, it's so funny because I remember when I first started my business, like I've always been fairly independent. Like when I used to work for other people, I really resented it because I'd always be like, oh, you could do this, this, and this better. And like, why aren't you doing it?
Right, right,
So
right, right.
I very much like enjoy working on my own. So bringing someone on, it was really scary at first because I definitely didn't want to give up that control in the beginning. I was like, I can do everything. I want to do everything. And then a couple years in, I was like, I don't want to do everything anymore.
I'm tired. I want to get
I'm
sleep.
tired. Yeah. So then I hired my first VA, and so that
Yay.
was it was so helpful because it gave me back so much more time. And after that, I was like, I'm sold. Like, give all the jobs to someone else. I only want to do the stuff I need to
Yes.
do.
Yeah. And I agree with you
So
because you are the expert in your subject, right? So, with
yeah,
outsourcing everything to your virtual assistant, for those that you don't know what a VA is, it allows you to be that subject matter expert,
yeah.
continue trainings, continue sharpening your mind so that your business can continue to scale. So, your virtual assistant, did you do like a personality test? How did you know that was the right assistant for you?
Such a good question. So I'm like very naturally a very intuitive person and I read people really well.
Yeah.
So when I was looking for someone, I actually had a friend who she was working with my now VA, but she was working with her and I'd met her like a year before it was even on my radar that I was looking for
Oh,
someone. And
wow.
then I was like, oh, I really need like help. And my friend was like, oh, like, do you want to use like my VA? And I was like, you know what? I do. And so like we sat down and had a chat and I just felt good about it. Like I really was
Awesome.
clear with what I needed her to do exactly. Like I laid it out really well and like it just flowed. But I think it's because I really trusted my inner, like that inner voice that was like, yes, this is the right person for you to work with. Like it just felt like a good fit. And I think it's
Awesome.
so important because in business, people aren't always like, oh, you just need to follow your intuition. But
Exactly.
yeah.
No, I think that's great. So basically, in order for you to get a virtual assistant, it goes right back to how you said, be clear about your business goals, right? Because if
Yes.
you weren't clear about your business, if you weren't clear about what you needed done, where you were trying to take your business, looking for a virtual assistant or, assistant would be pointless because
Yes.
you wouldn't know how to utilize that person. So
Yes.
I think that is great advice. You don't have to do everything yourself. Awesome.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so for some of our guests that are listening, right? How did you get to this point? What made you start your business? And I thought your
Yeah.
story was very unique, by the way. I
it's
remember it.
been it's been an interesting thing. Like I sort of mentioned before, I became a photographer when I was 19. Like that became my full-time business, and then got hired to shoot a wedding. Moved to Australia, and that's how I ended up here now. And through that, then it kind of like I really had that evolution where I realized that like the mindset is the most important piece. I was like working
Yes.
with people for a little bit, being like showing them how to do like their social media, how to like create a photography business. And then I always came back to this point where I was like, they're missing something. Like I'd be like, I'd tell them what to do. They'd have the information. They wouldn't go and do it. And that's when I really realized I was like, it's the mindset thing. And then I heard about RTT on a podcast by chance. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I need to try it.
Nice.
So I tried it and it completely changed everything. It changed how I run my business. It changed like just the way I was showing up. And I was like, I need to share this with other people because like other people don't need to struggle for like as long as I felt like I struggled with all the things in my
Right.
business.
Yes, yes. And it kind of like takes like, some of the excitement out of business when you're like tired and overwhelmed. Like running it on your own business can be so fun once you get past that, be clear about your business, your goals and what you're good at. So
Yeah.
I think that's great that you're helping your clients like get to that point quicker because God knows, right? We would have more business owners if they got past that step of I'm trying to get a consistent business
Yes.
running. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I see it with just so many people where like they have something they want to share and it's amazing, but it's like they get in their own way because of like whatever stuff is going on in their mind around beliefs and like all the stuff that goes along with your mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Stuff as simple as social media, right? So how do you think, so
totally.
I'm sure with your clients, right? And we talk about mindset being the key to business, right?
Mm.
I'm sure that that topic comes up very much so. Can you kind of like explain maybe some challenges um that you've seen with mindset, social media, and business, and your recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people, I think one of the root cause issues that I see with most of the people I work with is like on some level not believing that they're enough. Like this is like the
Yeah.
biggest thing that holds everyone up because it shows up like procrastination or like under quoting people or like not wanting to show your face on social media because of like XYZ or like not being consistent because you don't fully believe that you can have what you want. These are the ways I kind of see it show up. And also a lot with money is like people don't believe they're worthy of charging what they want to charge. They're like, who am I to ask for that kind of money? Like, is anyone even
Right.
going to pay me that? And so that's kind of all the stuff that holds my clients up the most, I find.
I love how you touched on that. And I do like research on like very successful business owners that are making like millions, right? Because I like to see trends. And a lot
Yeah.
of them when they just start out, right, they will say that they spend years on thinking they're not enough or their product's not good enough for their service. And then they got to a
Yeah.
point where they stood and they were confident and they did a mindset transition, like you said, and they started charging what they were worth. That goes into another thing, right? Pricing. That is, you should get paid for the degrees you have, the certifications, the nights you stay up late to prepare for your, your clients and your courses. Um, in addition to that, what keeps you going in business? Running a
Mm.
business is not easy.
Yeah,
What keeps you
definitely not.
going?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I guess when it comes back to like, for me, I'm like, I never want people to struggle with what I struggled with for as long as I struggled with it. Like growing up
Love
earlier in life,
that.
I had a lot of like issues with mental health and like with an eating disorder and like addictions and stuff. And that was all really stemming from like not feeling like I was enough. And when I healed that, like, life was just completely different. And I just had this really big light bulb moment where I'm like, nobody needs to suffer. Like when you heal one person, you heal like all of humanity because it has a ripple effect. Because when one person changes something, they treat other people differently and like so on and so forth. So I so strongly believe that I came here to help other people like heal from the same things that I struggled with, but also I
Love that.
just really believe that the world needs more people lit up doing the stuff that they love to do. And if I can help them get on their path to doing that, like that's how you create change within the whole world.
I really admire that about you. So making business your purpose. When I listen to your story and I listen how you show up for your clients, not one time was it really because this is what I want to do. Is like I want to do it because it will help someone else. And I
Yeah.
think that's phenomenal. I think your business is something that the world needs. Okay, because the mind is the most important thing. And you literally operate off of your mind. Literally, the first things you think about in the morning will set the tone for your day.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. So, um, can you kind of explain what your business entails, like the process? So, once a client reaches out to you, what's the overall process? Do you start with a consultation, or?
Yeah, I have a couple different ways that people can work with me. So people can either do like one-off like RTT sessions, which like people use them for like confidence or like weight loss or like self-esteem or like they choose the issue that they sort of want to work on. And then that's like a 21-day process where like they do the session, they have like a recording to listen to. So that's kind of like one option of working with me. And then for my one-to-one coaching clients, it's like a 3-month process where we do 3 RTT sessions, 3 coaching calls, just really like focusing on like where they are now, where they want to be, and like leading them
Awesome.
through the process to get to that. And then I also have like a couple courses on like money mindset as well.
That's awesome. So, where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
Yeah, such a good question. I feel like I just want to reach more people, I think is the thing. Because like working one to one, I can only take on so many people at a time. So
Right.
definitely like expanding like the group offerings that I have and like the lower price like courses that I have, because I realize not everyone always can afford the investment of working with a coach one to one like straight away. So I really want to create something for people like at every price point so people can always access the help that they need.
I think that's great. That's definitely a great 5-year plan. So expansion and just impacting more people along the way. And
Yeah.
hopefully, because it is a lot for one person. So I'm pretty sure that along the way, you'll find another like-minded person. You'll train them up and they'll be operating such as you. So I definitely wish you well with that.
Thank
So
you.
one of the topics we were also going to touch on is how to channel your inner boss. So did you want to discuss that in more? You get so excited about that topic.
Because I feel like so much of the time people are like going through life searching for permission, and I'm just like, you know what, like no one is going to give you that permission except for yourself. So it's like really figuring out like yeah, it's just, I see it with so many people where they're looking to someone else to be like, oh, this is a good idea, or like you should go and do this. And it's like, I think it's so important to just get in touch with like that version of yourself inside that knows exactly what to do and how to get there, and like building that connection with like that inner guidance. And because people are always like looking for external validation, and I'm like, you're never going to be validated externally. It all comes from within. And when you trust yourself, like you're unstoppable because you have the answers you need
Yes.
within. And when you can tap into that and you trust yourself, like there's nothing that you can't do. So it's like, I just really want to like instill in people, especially women, because I feel like I see this more with women than I see it with men, but it's like just trusting yourself, trusting that you know exactly what to do. You have everything you need within you. Like you're born on the planet, like having like the confidence in yourself to just keep going and keep trying things, and like just bringing that back as an adult and being like, even if I fall down, like I'm just going to keep going, because if I keep going, my success is inevitable. Like it has to work at some point.
Yes, I absolutely I agree with you 100%. And just like I know this is stuff that we actually have to practice, right? So
Totally.
showing up and not being 100% perfect, but getting better day in and day out. I love how you said, you know what, you don't need permission to be yourself. And I can say for personal experience, doing this show, I will say maybe when I started, this is number, I think we're at like number 24. I was so on what should it look like? And I'm like, no, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to laugh and I'm going to smile. And it's just going to be with Debora.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. And I think that attracts your clients and people who are like you
Right.
and want to emulate you better, right?
Yeah, totally. Because I think, especially when people start a business, especially if it's a personal brand, they're trying to be something to everyone. And when you're trying to be something to everyone, like you water down who you truly are.
Yes,
So
yes.
when you just are like, this is who I am, take it or leave it, like that draws your people in, and those people
Right.
will go with you everywhere.
I totally agree. Totally agree. What advice do you have for the person that may be at home and it's like, hey, I I'm afraid. I'm afraid to step out. What actionable what is something that they can kind of like action maybe tomorrow and start on their
Yeah,
path to business
totally.
ownership?
Well, first thing is like noticing that you're afraid is amazing, because when you're afraid, you're doing something outside of your comfort zone. So that's where you want to be going. So
Yes.
good job. And then the second thing is, so much of that fear, it comes from like the thoughts looping inside of our head. And when you really realize, like, I'm not my thoughts, like even just getting them down on paper and being like, okay, they just want to be heard. So like, let's hear what they have to say. And then
Absolutely.
let's talk to them and be like, okay, well, this is why that's not true. You know how like people always talk about goal setting, but I like to do like fear setting. Like, what's the worst thing that
Ooh.
would happen if I did this thing? Because people are always like, okay, I did the thing. All right, well, everyone in my family laughs at me. My friends think it's stupid. And then I'm homeless and I lose my house. Well, even if I'm homeless, I'm sure I can go and get another job at some point and like work my way back up. So then you realize you're
Right.
like, that's the worst case scenario. It's probably not going to happen. And then you're like kind of free to go do the thing, because you're like, well, if that's the worst that's going to happen, like I can handle that.
I absolutely love that concept. I've never heard that before. So instead of goal setting, you should do fear setting. And after you see what the
Yeah.
worst case scenario could be and realize that it's
Yeah.
actually probably not going to be, that's
Yeah.
when magic happens. Wow. I am
Yeah.
actually going to apply that. And
It's so good.
yes, I think that whoever is listening should consider doing that. Don't goal set, fear set. Think about the worst case scenario. Know that the worst case scenario probably won't happen and go for your goals. That
Yeah,
is amazing.
100%.
Kim, that's great. Great advice right there. Love it.
Thank you. It's helpful.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience tonight? Any advice, any like, empowering words or what you're up to?
Yeah, gotcha. I think probably the most important thing is like just keep going. Like even when it feels really hard or challenging, like just keep showing up, because when you keep showing up, like inevitably something has to work for you.
Yes.
So, and also not when it doesn't work, not taking it personally. I think so much of the time we make things about us, and it actually doesn't mean anything about you. It just means that you tried something and maybe it didn't work or maybe it did, but either way you learned. So like really releasing this idea that you can fail and being like, there is no such thing as failure. Like it's just feedback. I think that's such like a freeing concept and just leaves you like free to just like try things, because you're not like, oh, I'm a failure if it doesn't work. Like it's like, well, you just tried and now you know something.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. There is no such thing as failure. It's called experience,
Yes.
education, and another chance, because it at least shows
True.
you what you need to fix or what you need to work on to get better, to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, love it. Yes. So for anybody that's listening tonight, we have our guest Kim. She's from Australia. It is 9 a.m. ish. It's 9:26 a.m. ish now. And I am so grateful for you showing up and giving me your time. I hope that if anyone is interested in doing a mindset shift for business, you want to take yourself from being either a business owner that is having a little bit of difficulty, bringing clarity to your business. Kim is a great person to connect with. If you're someone who is going from, hey, I have a business idea, to I want to transition my mind to be that business owner, then Kim is a great person to talk to. She's phenomenal. Her energy is amazing. It's cool. So I really thank you for coming on the show today. If there is anything else that you would like to say.
No, but thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys, if you want to connect with her, please, she's tagged on this video. Please feel free to connect with her directly. And I wish you guys out there that's listening to Small Business Solution Monday, luck with your business. Stay encouraged. There are people just like you, sitting right here on the stage, right? They have those same thoughts. Should I go into business? Should I not? They're taking leaps of faith and they're going after their dream. And from the looks of it, you're doing very well. So,
Oh, thank you.
yes, thank you so much. You
It was a
guys,
pleasure.
yeah. All right, guys. So tune in next week for Small Business Solutions Monday, and we will be live again at 7 p.m. Eastern talking about all things business. All right, guys.